Hi, my name is Robin. This is the Trust Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. A good friend of mine, Justin Jones, was on. He owns a local roofing company, a very standout company called J.C. Jones Roofing and Construction here in the Largo area, just a few blocks away from our office here. We talk about roofing, talk about business. Give us feedback. If you guys like the content, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And hope that you enjoy and hope to see you back for more. Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome to the Trust Business Podcast. I have a very special guest today. I have Justin with J.C. Jones Roofing and Construction Company, another local roofer. He's actually just a few blocks away from our office.
Yep.
Justin, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
really
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, awesome, man. So let's start off. Tell me, we've talked before, but tell me, how did you get into roofing? What's your story? How do you get into this roofing business?
So that's a good question. My family's not in it. I had a really good friend of mine. After my boxing kind of subsided, I saw something that worked with him, and he did very well. He got in it chasing storm chasing. So I went to a few storms with him, and I was like, wow, this really works. So then I did that. I didn't really like being away from home all the time. Yeah, a really good friend of mine. He's older. He's 65 now. He lives retired in the Virgin Islands on his boat.
Wow.
Yeah, we chat all the time, and I took it a little farther than he did. He didn't ever want a company or like managing people, and I wanted, as Robin will get into in this podcast, I wanted to have a giant company at first, and he would always give me the downfalls of that because he had his own problems with it. And that was my idea kind of to get started. And I always wanted to work from home, and Florida was the hardest state to get a roofing license, and also as well as California, where I'm from, but I lived here. So I always liked to make my life hard, and I wanted to get a license in the hardest place to get one. So I did that, and I liked being able to stay at home. But it was a really tough transition because I got started off chasing storms, and over here, unless there's a giant hurricane, it was transitioning into retail. It's easy to sell somebody a deductible when you're out of state and it's $1,000, $2,000 in a storm. So,
wow, very cool. So now how long have you had J.C. Jones? Have you had your own company? How long has that been for?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, we've been up and running 2 years.
Very cool, man. Very cool, man. Okay, good. And then that was a topic I wanted to cover that you jumped into. So, everybody has a different size of business or size or scale of thing they want to do that's best and most right for them. Some people want a really big business and that's what they want to do. Some people might want a smaller business where they just have 3 or 4 employees and that's what they want to do. So tell me about that, because I know that where you're at and what you want to do with yours is different than me and what I want to do with mine. And I feel like that's okay because we can all be, have different places and different sizes or things we want to do. It's not one size fits all.
So I think with that, a lot of people get caught on the gross number, and a lot of people need to learn the difference between gross and net, what you take home. You can have a smaller business and still take home quite a bit of money.
There's people with literally $5 million roofing companies that gross $5 million a year, and they net more than a company that grosses $30 million a year, $35 million a year. It literally exists.
Correct. And I've had the luxury of seeing that in a few of my family's businesses. They've got a couple different things going on. So I've seen that over time, and I have a really good advisor that's always with me that kind of keeps my head on straight.
Yeah.
But that was a really big part of it. And then also managing people. Another reason I got into this and I wanted to have my own business was because it was rather tough for me to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Which was my own issue that I had to work through with myself. But I also wanted to work with my friends and family. So everyone that works with me is very close with me. And so that it's really enjoyable. It's not really working. We all have a good time. We figure things out. We hang out afterwards. We talk on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
So it's great when you make money and you're having fun doing it. So that was a lot of my idea behind it.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Here, and from the very beginning, even when I was just on the roofs and roofing, those were my boys. Those were my friends who I would hire. And if somebody we weren't getting along or we just weren't on the right click, then we weren't going to work together because I don't want to do this and not enjoy my day to day. I want to have fun. I want to, be in agreement with the people I'm working with. So, and that's something that I love about having my own company is the ability to give a friend an opportunity, and give them a really good place to work where we're really taking care of people and like just that kind of fun that you can have. So
yeah, I really enjoy that. That would be same with me as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with somebody now who has a giant 100-square tile church in Georgia. He travels and chases storms, but only does Ludovici tile and stuff like that.
Wow.
Everyone might know who it is after I say the Ludovici because there's very few people that do it. But yeah, and then he reached out to me to have somebody go out there and help him get the project done. So that's
In Georgia.
cool. Yeah.
Because you have connections because of storm chasing and stuff out in that way.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about that really quick for like our roofing audience. What's your take on that? Like storm chasing, insurance side, retail side, like which do you prefer and why? And then what do you put your attention on and why, like with JC Jones?
So I would say they are two separate companies.
Yeah.
There's two separate things going on, different departments. There's a lot of moving parts with insurance. That's why when you go to the doctor, there's either a cash price or an insurance price. They charge your insurance a lot more than if you're just paying cash. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I enjoy storm chasing. That's what I got started off doing.
And that's because there's more on the back end that's going into it to do that whole insurance process.
Oh yeah, and you're waiting for checks. You're financing a roof basically for a little while, more so than just getting the job done, going out there and getting paid on the immediately. Yeah.
Right.
So I would say I like both of them. They're two different things. I got started off in one, and then I've had to learn the retail side of things, which was definitely a transition.
Yeah. Have any of the legislation changes, like the stuff in Florida, have that affected you at all? Like there's been some changes in insurance. We do mostly retail, so I'm not like as versed in that side of things, but I know I've heard from some other people that been some impacts because of that sort of thing.
There definitely is, and I'm not on top of it as much as I should, but I have some people that do our supplementing that are very good, that kind of give me the new things that are going on, so I learn how to navigate it. Like I'm the only one in our company that has some insurance jobs going on.
Yeah.
Right now we're backdating a lot of storms due to the insurance legislation that passed. I don't really know what it's going to transition into, but I believe to have a real business in the roofing industry, you have to do retail. And that's it. Anything else is over and above and on top of that, but you have to have the correct pieces in place to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, the retail, I like the retail just because it's consistent and then I don't have to work with all that insurance and back end and everything.
Correct.
And that's just where I come from too, because my dad's company in Los Angeles, it's not a big insurance market because there's no wind, there's no hail. So that's all that he built out there was just a retail model out. So that's all that I even knew. I didn't even know what insurance roofing was when I first came over here. So
yeah. No, it's definitely a different animal. And it's an animal, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, talk to me about like the roofing industry. This is a tough business. Like what are the biggest challenges you face on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week? Like what are the biggest challenges you face as like just trying to run and operate a roofing company in Florida with all the rain, all the wind? I mean, it's a tough market also.
Yeah, there's definitely that. We had rain yesterday, so we got rained out of a job, staying on top of that.
Got rained on Monday. I mean, you look at the weather forecast here, 40%, 20%, 20%, 30%. It's like...
We've been fairly fortunate. We have had some leaks during the rain.
Yeah.
Roofs torn off, but we've been able to fix it. And luckily, that was a commercial property that had drop ceilings that really didn't cause any damage by the grace of something. Yeah, it was very fortunate, but it was a learning process. I'd say scheduling, just getting the proper processes in place so that you can take care of a customer start to finish is huge. And setting expectations is a big thing. I mean, there's a lot. It's a learning process. And there's no book that you can buy that will lay it out for you without the experience. Yeah. I would say that.
I agree with that. And even with the experience, even like I've been doing roofing for 11 years and I've been doing it like at scale with this business here where I'm operating things for, over 3 And even with all of that, I still run into things every day where I'm like, there's just a nuance or there's something new. There's a way we could have communicated to that client a little bit better. There's a way we could have set that expectation a little bit better, and I have processes built around that, work almost all the time. You might have a process that works 90% of the time, but then that 10%, and you got to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of nuances in this industry. So
yeah, before I came over, I was tweaking some documents little by little. As you learn things, you tweak them and get them honed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a never learning process.
Yeah. Cool, man. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to talk about was like how I met you. It's actually an interesting story. I'll tell it because it's really funny. I started this company and I was on the roof, roofing my roofs, whatever.
I remember hearing about it.
And I had my crew guys up there. My crew guys would tell me, oh yeah, on the weekends we're working for this guy named Justin and we're putting drywall up in this condo. And I'm just like, oh really? And they're like, oh yeah, and he's going to start a roofing company. They're going to call it All Star. And they're like, and hey, we want hats. We want, I was TNG Roofing at the time. We want TNG Roofing hats. I'm like, oh yeah? He said, yeah, Justin, look, you show me one of your hats. And I'm just kind of like, who is this guy, Justin? He's going to take my crew? And I was like, whoa, am I going to lose my guys?
Yeah, that is funny.
So
yeah,
it was like, it was so random. And I didn't know who you were at the time. So I was like, whatever. And I kept doing my thing, kept working, whatever. And then you hit me up on Facebook. This was probably, I don't know, a year ago or a year and a half ago or something. And we started to talk, hung out a little bit and whatever. So I thought that was really interesting how like the roots of our company, like we had people who were working for both of us randomly and then now we're like friends. I thought that was interesting.
I was fixing up a condo and I had them in there and I'd talk about it and they're like, oh, we work with somebody that's in roofing. And I said, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
That was interesting. Anyway, so then we started to get together and talk and stuff. And one thing that struck me about you when we were just very first talking is you were a very open person. Like, I actually could tell that you weren't holding anything back in terms of, I don't know, information or whatever. Not that there's really secrets or anything, but you were just very open. You're like, oh yeah, this is how we do this. Oh yeah, this is how we do that. And then if, I had some things I were doing that you're like, oh, hey, I think you could probably do this better there. Yeah. I was like, and just that sharing and collaboration and openness, I thought was really cool. And that's how I like to try to be as well. So talk to me about that, because in roofing, I feel like there's a lot of, even in construction in general sometimes, like people, we have their guard up a little bit. Like we feel like, I don't know, we don't want to share secrets or tell someone something or help the competition. And I mean, me and you are literally helping each other out when our offices are miles apart from each other. So talk to me about kind of your thought process on that, because I thought that was really, really cool.
So a lot of that comes from my father, who's also my business partner. That's how he's always been. Mm-hmm. So I saw that growing up, and I saw how it worked for him, and it's worked out very well. And it just made sense. And I like people. I like talking to people. I like being around them. I love people. I don't always like them, but I love them all.
Yeah.
And so I got that sense definitely from him. And then also I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
But I also believe if you bring somebody up, then you keep bringing, everyone climbs up. If you try and push down or hold back, then you're not going up, right?
Yeah.
So I've always had that in me too. So I want people to be better. I'll always tell people my weaknesses. Like when I was a professional boxer, I'd let everyone know my weaknesses because then it pushes me to fix those and get better. So I have that. And then plus I like helping people. I've had a lot of help in my life. I would not be where I'm at today without all the help that I've had. So it's just kind of what you do, I believe. Just be a good person. You share things, then you learn from it. And then if you share something and help somebody, then they help you back or not. And even when you help people with things, you're also teaching yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it reiterates certain things and way you learn things and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I love it. And I feel like that what you just described, that whole mindset, that's a lot how I try to look at it when I'm training my employees and helping them. Because anybody who I bring into like my company who is going to come into my system, they're not going to know anything about roofing, about construction or this or that. I'm going to have to take them from square one and help them all the way. Like that's what I'm passionate about doing. And then I'm the same thing. Like if I have another business owner and I see that, hey, I know this way that you can send this email out and do this, or hey, I know this way that you can buy these materials and get them at this place and get them at a better rate this way, or whatever. It's like I want to help and I want to share because I want to see the industry overall rising up. Because like you said, if the industry rises up to a higher standard, it'll force me to be at a higher standard, and then everybody will be doing better at the end of the day. As long as you're willing to put in the work. It's not like, it's that company, it's just we're all going to put each other out of business. Like there's so much roofing work to go around. uh, there's just, every single house, every single building has a roof that needs to get replaced over their heads. And at the end of the day, it's like there's plenty of them to go around. So I agree with you. I like that.
Correct. And unfortunately, the roofing industry, I'd say construction as well, has a bad rap. So even if you show somebody something, it doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Right.
So there's not really much, I'd say, negative that could come from it.
Yeah.
You hope the best for them, and if they do it, great. Then it gets everyone up. But there's few and far between. Is everyone going to do everything, or they might pick and choose a thing from it?
Yeah, correct. And even if you gave someone the absolute best advice or information, it's up to them to roll up their sleeves and do the work. And there's so much work behind it to do. But and I know for me, like building this company, I would not have built this company if it weren't for like watching podcasts like this, watching YouTube videos, learning from my dad, learning from, like, my dad had this friend named Mark in LA, also had a roofing company forever, and he helped me and gave me a lot of information. Like, I would not have built, my brother, who gave me tons and tons of advice in business. Like, I wouldn't have built this company if it weren't for help. Nobody would have, right? Like, we have to start from nothing and build up all of our skills. So, and I just look at that and I'm like, well, I've been helped so much. I feel like I should give back. And if I do that again, like you said, then other people are going to want to do the same thing, whether that's your employees, your customers. It's just kind of how things work. So, but anyway, I liked that about you. That was really cool.
Yeah. And we both have that in common, which is why it's cool to hang out with you. I love coming over here. We meet out. It's a good time every time.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So, like with JC Jones Roofing, like where do you see that? Where do you want to take that? What are your like goals for that in the next, I don't know, year or 5 years? I don't know what your outlooks are, your thoughts and stuff like that.
So we just want to stay consistent. Consistency is key. We'll probably put on a few more sales reps this year.
Yeah.
It's really just me and one other sales rep right now, and he's very good. And I think he's going to elevate at some point this year to a sales manager, and then he's going to be able to bring people on.
Right.
He's very, very good at managing people, staying on top of his
He's got like some leadership.
His follow-up.
Yeah.
In our meeting yesterday, it was funny. His follow-up is very good. He'll stay on somebody for 6 months, and he's very good about it. And
that follow-up is so key. And this is in roofing. This is in any sales business or industry. And it's interesting because you see that said and heard so often, but sometimes people just don't apply it. They don't do it. I sold a job the other day. Literally, I've been working on it out here for 3.5 years. So one of the first jobs that I ran, and when I first ran it, I was calling him all the time. And then he kind of decided it was a commercial job. Said, we're going to push it off a little bit for now, but stay in touch with me. And they'll even say that. You say, okay, good. So then I kept calling him. It was like every 3-4 months, I think every 6 months. And then recently, I reached out to him and he was actually like, oh, hey, yeah, actually, we're looking at selling the building and, we're looking at the roof. It's going to have to get done as part of that. And so, okay, good. It started. The conversation started going on. And then, of course, now I had to get him a fresh quote. It's been 3.5 years. He had to get a couple other fresh quotes. So I had to compete and win the business still. But the fact that I was following up with him consistently for 3.5 years, I think he was just like, how do I not go with this kid? This guy's, Trust Roofing or whatever. When we first gave him the bid, we were still T and G, but he was just kind of like, and I had another one recently. I think I was following up for 2 years, You just, that consistency and that being there for people, and it's kind of like whether they go with you or not, I'm just there to like, hey, I'm the roofing professional, I'm just reaching out and I'm seeing how you're doing on that thing, and just doing that and being willing to do it for a long period of time without necessarily a guaranteed result.
Right.
That's everything.
Yep, and you learn every step of the way through the process, and I'd say it also builds trust through the entire time.
100%, it does, and it's like, it shows them that you want the business too, like, and that you feel confident that you can do it. Like if someone's calling you for 3 years about a commercial roof, you're probably like, okay, this guy probably can perform on this commercial roof, where if it's someone else just sends you the bid, gives you one phone call, and then you're just not going to remember that person at that point.
Right.
Why you didn't give them any reason for them to remember you. And I do other little things of automated emails that go out to people and stuff like that. You want to keep in front of people.
Keep the touches, as they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're looking at adding maybe a few salespeople, but just it kind of sounds to me like you're like, I want to just make sure my process stays refined and that my clients on the other side just continue getting a great end result, which...
Yeah, exactly.
I love that because that's what I've realized recently. I'm like, we expanded really fast, and I felt like at some points we expanded too quick so that then like our quality dropped a bit. And I looked at that and I hated that because I know why I'm in business. I'm in business to give them the absolute best result. That's what it was when I was just on the roof myself. When you scale, it can be so much more challenging to do
watch
that.
over
You have
everything.
so many people, so many moving pieces. So that's what I'm working on right now, is making sure I have everything refined. So before I add any more volume, I want to make sure that that volume is just exactly where I want it to be quality-wise. So
Correct. And building the culture and the processes in place.
Yep.
We're working on our CRM right now with a lot of automations that we have to kind of get that all touched up. Yeah,
CRM do
just
you
having
use?
RoofLink.
RoofLink, nice.
Shout out to RoofLink. No, they're
Shout out to
cool.
RoofLink. Okay, good.
The guys there are great. I like them. And if I find something I like, I just stick with it. I don't jump around and change things often. So, yeah, I like it. It's great.
Yeah, cool, man. What kind of roofing mostly do you guys do?
Mostly shingle, of course, but some flat roofs. And we're doing a lot more metal now.
Metal.
A lot of metal, yeah.
Cool. Hey, okay. You mentioned earlier the boxing. That you come from boxing. I think that's cool as heck. So tell me about that. I know you're training right now to get back into the ring and do that. So tell me about that.
I've dropped 24 pounds over the last month and a half to get back into it.
That's insane.
Yeah, definitely lifestyle change too. And if I can say anything, and any business owner, anybody that works, anybody that does anything, it starts from the ground up.
Yeah.
You got to get your mind fresh, your body right, eat right, and do all that stuff, and then everything else seems to fall into place.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. It's like the most basic things, and get them to be habits. Like the number one advice that I can give to anybody who wants to like build a business or elevate themselves or anything: wake up early, have a decent breakfast. You get your cup of coffee early and get going.
Yeah, I get up at 4:50 every day.
4:50. Oh my goodness.
4:50.
I was doing 4 a.m. and then I backslid. I backslid to 5 a.m. So I need to But that's how I am too. 4 or 5 early.
I get up, I put the miles in at the gym in the morning, first thing, before I do anything, do my push-ups, stuff like that. Then I come back. I'm studying for my GC license right now. So I come back, study a little bit, and then get into the office at 8. Get all my emails out of the way, and then
That's amazing though. By the time a lot of people have woken up, look at what you got done. You've already, boom, you're at the gym, you're running, you got your push-ups in, you're studying for your GC license to get, a different licensure to be able to take care of more types of things. And then you're getting back to work like everyone. That's amazing how much more just that little couple hours earlier waking up can do.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I've met very few people in this world that are truly brilliant. A lot of it's hard work and putting the hours in. I don't, like somebody that goes to work 9 to 5, you're putting 40 hours a week. If I put 80, you add that up in the year, I have double the amount of time in, double the amount of time to learn and all that. And you hear about it on some other podcasts or with very successful people. It's really that simple.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is, like you said, I agree with you, like brilliant. Like, some people might be naturally a little bit smarter than others or more, talented in an area, but at the end of the day, you can learn any of those skills. I truly believe that. And if I'm doing business, because what we do, business, if I'm working on business 60 hours a week, let's call it 70 hours a week, and somebody else is working on business 35 hours a week, I got double the amount of opportunities to gain talent in this area.
It's always simple math.
Just
everything in life comes down to math.
Yeah, even down to like, you might say, he's a great communicator. Well, maybe he's a great communicator because he's been, I wake up in the morning and I just start talking to people, talking to customers, I remember when I started this and I was like 16 working for my dad, and my dad told me, and I was just a tech at the time, and my dad told me, good, you need to call this client and you need to tell him that you're on your way and this and that, and tell him what you're gonna be doing and all this. And you know what I said to him? I said, I'm not calling the client. He's like, well, why not? I'm like, I don't like talking to people. That's literally what I told him. That's where I swear. And he got hissed at me. He's like, dude, pick up the phone and call that client up, right? And I'm like, and I eventually did it and I talked to him, but I didn't want to.
And then you gain comfort.
You do it that one time,
natural.
and then, I did it over and over and over again. And, now I'm 26. I've been talking to people long enough now and got out of my comfort zone on that. But you look at something like that, like I wouldn't communicate to people. And then now I own this business and all I do is talk to people. So that kind of shows you something like that. It's not, that these things are just natural.
Right.
It takes work. It takes focused effort. And consistency
is key. And I always... Because I boxed for so long, I always relate things back to that. I was not always. I was never the most technically sound, the most elusive, but I trained the hardest, and I'd wear people out over time. You could get me the first round, second round, but I never stopped coming, and I'd beat people that were more technically sound than me, that were faster, stronger, but I'd be relentless and keep coming. But that was with consistency. I'd stay in the gym. I'd keep going, and keep going. But and business as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like you can, and I was thinking of this the other day. You can, because I'm really into like basketball. That was something that I really got into as a kid in sports. And literally, I would go out onto the, into the park, and I would just shoot all day long. I'd play 10 hours. That's all that I would do. And I was not a fast kid. I was not a strong kid. And I wasn't even tall. Now I'm 6'4" or 5. But when I was playing, I was actually like a shrimp. So I didn't have any of these like athletic skills, but always I was either the best or second best player on my team. And the reason is because my shot, threes, foul shots, everything. And it was just that consistent hard work. So I think that business is very similar to like sports, right? Here I am in a market. I have competitors. Here we are. We're rocking and rolling. It's like, what are the reps you're going to put in? What are the things? How much are you going to train? How much are you going to show up for your team? How good are you going to be that leader for your other guys out there?
And I would say same with like your average sales rep, right? And that's who wants to turn into a business owner usually, correct? Yeah. But they're very talented in sales. That's same like an athlete that's very talented. But it's usually the athletes that have to train the hardest, that maybe don't have the most talent, that last their longevity is much higher because they're not just relying on one skill. Yeah. They build up the foundation around it, and that is imperative in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to wrap it up.
And I'd like to say one more thing. Robin has vouched for my next fight to sponsor half my shorts, and we're going to sponsor the other half, and we're just putting that on air.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, the other thing, too, that we're going to do together, because we're into collaboration and he's down the road, we're going to actually do a roof giveaway. We're not sure. Probably going to be either to veterans or first responders. We're going to do some submissions and then pick one house to just go ahead and do away, free of charge, complimentary. And then probably what we talked about is me and Justin have to actually get on the roof, and Alex has to film us shingle and laying out some shingles. I'm going to show him how to lay out some shingles quick.
Yep, so the proof will be in the pudding.
Thank you so much for coming on, Justin. I appreciate it. Robin, hey, if any of my homeowners are on here, and for some reason you want to get another quote, this is one of the guys to get them from.
And vice versa.
This guy runs a good ship, and at the end of the day, he's awesome. So
and we both work hand in hand as much as we can.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.